Hello and welcome to VU Sports Wired. I'm Ben Weinrib.
And I'm Allison Mast.
We're back from a 2-week hiatus, and we've got a great show for you as always. We got a lot to talk about, always a lot to talk about. We're going to lead off with baseball's bad series at Mississippi State, the merciful end to the women's basketball season. Going to go to some baseball highlights. Our favorite segment, Fill in the Blank. We're going to go back to baseball again for a preview of the Kentucky series, and then have Commodore Spotlight. So as I hinted earlier, baseball had a really rough weekend. They were outscored by Mississippi State 25-10 over the 3 games. Most of those came from the 17-2 loss on Friday, which we'll get to in a sec. But this is the first sweep for Vanderbilt baseball. we got a visitor in the background. First series loss for Vanderbilt baseball since April of 2012. That's, I think, 23 series overall, 15 straight in SEC play. So not a good weekend for Commodore baseball.
No, and I think it really came as a shock. You know, we didn't face any really strong opponents in the beginning of the season. So just starting off that series with the 17-2 loss was really shocking, especially because our ace Tyler Beatty was on the mound. He gave up 11 runs over just 2.2 innings.
Yeah, it's surprising to say the very least. And we know that Mississippi State was going to be good. They're one of the many ranked teams in the SEC. They went to the College World Series finals last year. And even though they lost Hunter Renfroe, their top hitter, that's still a really good team. But the surprising thing is the offense also didn't show up early, and that's been a concern for this team lately.
Absolutely. They got people on base, just couldn't bring them around home. And also the sloppiness on defense really hurt the Commodores. They had 5 errors, which is just an enormous number, and 2 from Chris Harvey, the starting catcher. So, you know, he was called for catcher's interference, and that's something you don't see often.
Yeah, he may not even be their starting catcher for very long. We've seen there are 2 promising freshmen, Jason DeLay, Carl Ellison. We've heard from inside sources with the baseball team that pitchers actually prefer to be caught by Jason DeLay than Chris Harvey, by a lot even. So DeLay's a promising guy. Ellison is a little further behind it with the glove, and we know that Coach Corbin likes strong defensive catchers. So we'll see if Chris Harvey can get back in the good graces of Coach Corbin soon.
It's always nice to have options, definitely, as the season progresses.
Yeah, and we saw the lineup even shook up a little bit at the end of the series. We saw, mostly for this season, Dansby Swanson has been the leadoff hitter. Lately, he's run into some trouble striking out when he's leading off because he feels like he has to take so many pitches. He has moved down to the 3-hole. We saw Xavier Turner move up to the 2nd spot. Brian Reynolds hitting cleanup. Ro Coleman leading off. So really mixed up lineup, worked well. Tyler Ferguson pitched really well. Again, he might be one of the best Sunday starters in the league. He was up to 97, which is a lot better than we've seen him earlier.
But just going back to Ro Coleman, I think it's been nice to see him at the DH position. You know, Wiseman was playing that role earlier, but he's moved to the outfield. Norwood getting some time on the bench. But how about Ro getting a home run? You know, we just played Belmont first in the series, though.
Yeah, it's a shocker. There's no video that we can find, Sam, but I think it's amazing. This guy is listed at 5'5", probably more like 5'3", maybe even shorter.
I think he's 5'2".
He does not look like a college-age kid, but you know, he poked it out. It hit the foul pole, and so you know he's second on the team in homers now. So Vanderbilt baseball, not the greatest weekend. A little better than another Commodore sports team had over the weekend. Women's basketball team somehow made the NCAA tournament as an 8 seed. They lost 9 of their last 11 games. I was pretty shocked that they made the tournament as an 8 seed even, playing number 9 seed Arizona State. If they had won, they would have had to play number 1 Notre Dame. Lost 69-61. So Allison, what did you see out of that game?
You know, it was a tough situation for them. They faced the same one last season, coming in as the 8 seed. Last year, they were able to beat the 9 seed, but they just didn't have enough this year. It looked like a good matchup. Arizona State was also coming out of this terrible slump. They were not impressive during Pac-12 play. And I guess what my takeaway from the game is just they need a third scorer. They do. Lister was just contained the entire game. Fogey was able to get 16 points, but without a third option, they really couldn't get anywhere.
And moving forward, looking to next year, we're not going to have Lister and Fogey coming back. The good news here is freshman Marquez Webb had a great game, led all scorers with 18 points, also added 8 rebounds. She's looked good, and I know you have another favorite player coming up.
Yeah, have been really impressed with Rebecca Dahlman. Unfortunately, her season was cut short, but up until that point, she was leading the SEC in three-point shooting percentage. There was this complicated illness. She ended up having a blood clot, which prevented her from playing. They were unsure whether she was actually going to ever play basketball again, but fortunately, she just returned to practice, and they said that she's looking good.
Yeah, so some good news with women's basketball team. Wasn't the greatest end to the season, which at one point looked really promising. Yeah. They were 15th in the nation, beat a lot of ranked teams, but we'll see what they have next year. Unfortunately, no Final Four. Final Four is in Nashville this year, so we'll see. We can always watch Tiffany Mitchell in South Carolina, though, so it's going to be all right. So now we're going to send it over to some highlights from Tuesday's win over Belmont, which was 2-1.
In midweek action from Hawkins Field, it's the Vanderbilt Commodores and the Belmont Bruins. Last week, the Commodores took an 8-4 victory over Belmont on their home field. Let's go to the highlights. Walker Buehler on the hill for Vandy. He had a career-high 8 strikeouts against the Bruins last week, and he got back to work right where he left off, getting punch-outs with great frequency early on. Brett Wiseman at the plate in the bottom of the second. It's a high chopper to third baseman Matt Beatty, who overthrows his first baseman, allowing Vince Conde to score from second base on the error and give Vandy a 1-0 lead in the second. Buehler back to the hill, still dealing. He didn't allow a hit through 5, allowing just 2 base runners in that time. But he would run into trouble in the 7th, as he allowed a run to score on a fielder's choice here, hit by Matt Kinney, as the runner is eliminated at third, but a run comes in to tie the game. Buehler would escape the inning with a fly ball to right field off the bat of Drake Bird. Career-high 10 strikeouts for Walker Buehler. Dansby Swanson here in the bottom of the 8th executes a beautiful slash play to put runners at second and third with nobody out, with the game tied at 1 late. Brian Reynolds up, sees that the infield's in, gets the ball through the hole to Xavier Turner, and give the Commodores a 2-1 lead. Later in the inning, Brett Wiseman at the plate with the bases loaded. He pops one up to left field, where the left fielder Kinney settles under it and guns down Dansby Swanson at home on a very close play. Commodores take a 2-1 lead into the 9th. Brian Miller on the mound. 2 great plays by Dansby Swanson help him pick up the save as he ranges up the middle there, and then comes hard charging on this high chopper to end the ball game and give the Commodores a 2-1 win at Hawkins Field over Belmont. Walker Buehler had a career-high 10 strikeouts in the game. He went 7 innings, allowed 2 hits and just 1 run, but he did not pick up the win. Adam Ravenel got the win, his second of the year, with 1 scoreless inning of relief. Brian Miller, his second save of the season. 3 hits for Dansby Swanson, the offensive highlight for the Commodores, who once again failed to hit well with runners in scoring position on the day. Looking ahead, the Commodores will host 17th-ranked Kentucky at Hawkins Field this weekend.
All right, so welcome back. We have, instead of Allison, we have Callie Meisel back with us, and we're going to send it over to Max for Fill in the Blank.
Thanks, Ben. I'm Max Hers. It's time for everybody's favorite segment here at VU Sports Wired. Fill in the blank. We got 3 questions for you guys. You're going to fill in the blanks in our big-time questions about Commodore sports. So, we're going to start it off with Tyler Beatty's start last Friday was blank.
All right, so this was probably the worst start of Beatty's career. You could probably also nominate his start in the Super Regionals against Louisville last year. 2 2/3 innings, 11 runs, 5 earned. The big thing here was he had 9 walks and also hit a guy. So I'm going, Beatty's start Friday was Nuke Lelouchian. Now, for those that haven't watched, good luck spelling that. For those who haven't watched Bull Durham, Nuke Lelouch was this really highly touted prospect, threw really hard, pitched really well, had no control. And great movie, Bull Durham. All y'all need to watch that. So Nuke Lelouchian, that's what I have.
Got a simpler answer. You're welcome, Max. I'm going to go with Beatty's start on Friday was cringeworthy. I mean, Tyler Beatty is clearly like an amazing pitcher. It's just something was off. He started with, they hit 2 singles on him, 1 strikeout, but then they hit another single, and I'm pretty sure he walked a guy to get their first run. And within just one inning, the Commodores were down 0-4. And unfortunately, didn't really get much better than that. He dropped 11 runs in 2.2 innings. So cringeworthy is going to be my answer.
Ben, although I like the reference, a little too discreet and a little too hard to spell.
Too discreet? You just don't watch sports movies. How many baseball movies are more important than Bull Durham?
I did like Callie's answer, though, even if Ben had given a normal answer. Because, honestly, this start was just everything went wrong. You couldn't put a finger on exactly what happened, and you just kind of had to cringe and move on to the next one. So I'm going to give the point to Callie here.
Kids these days not watching sports movies.
Next question. SEC baseball. I got a broad one for you guys here.
All right, I'm going to go with SEC baseball is a thing now. A thing is my answer. They've had, currently 10 out of the 14 SEC teams are nationally ranked, and this year I think it was up to 12 were ranked. So that's very impressive, and going with a thing.
With SEC baseball is the SEC of baseball. SEC football is by far the best conference. It just blows away everyone else because they just have better athletes. I think every school but Vandy was in the top 15 of recruiting last year. They just have way better athletes than everyone else. And we're the SEC of baseball too.
Ben the point here, because not only do I also really love Ben's answer, because we all know the SEC is the best at football, and guess what? They're even better at baseball. So check for Ben. We're tied going into this all-important last round. So Ben and Callie, your emotional bracket is length.
My bracket is all on Baylor right now. I lost my finals pretty early. I had Duke and Kansas. I was hoping for that Jabari Parker, Andrew Wiggins matchup. Didn't last even 2 rounds, but I have Baylor in the Elite Eight. Of course, they knocked out Dougie McBuckets and Creighton 85-55 last round. So all my hopes hinge on Baylor. That's how bad my bracket is. I don't even know who I'm rooting for.
My bracket, on the other hand, is perfect. I'm just in it to win the money. I'm feeling good. I haven't lost a game yet.
Yeah, well, humble brag right there.
Yeah. Get ready.
Well, you got 2 brackets here. One doesn't have a single wrong answer on it. One can't even figure out which team you picked. So, despite the simple answer, which you guys know I hate those one-word answers, I'm going to give the point to Callie because nothing beats a perfect bracket. So Callie takes the title today, 2-1. Great support you guys. You've been fill in the blank. I'm Max Hurd.
So what are you going to do with that $1 billion once you finish out the bracket?
Still thinking about that.
Yeah, well, don't forget about the little people, all right? All right, so baseball's back at it this weekend. We got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against Kentucky. Kentucky's another one of those many ranked SEC teams. And they've got a very special player, at least.
They do. A.J. Reed is their pitcher, and he's also their best hitter, which is a combination you don't usually see. He's hit, what, 9 home runs?
Yeah.
9 runs this season so far, and I think Vandy's best hitter has hit 2.
Yeah, Brian Reynolds. We just have a handful of other guys with 1 home run. So Kentucky has a really good offense, and that's something that Vanderbilt's going to have to rein in, because their pitching did not look like they're capable of stopping anyone's offense last weekend, even though Vanderbilt has one of the best pitching staffs around normally.
Right, I agree, and I feel confident they'll be able to bounce back after a week, of practicing. But I think it'll definitely be a really fun series of games to watch because you'll have really good hitting against really good pitching, and that's always fun. Yeah,
and Vanderbilt's pitched a lot better when they're at home. Tyler Beatty, of course, isn't giving up 11 runs when he's pitching at the Hawk.
Right, that was a fluke.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of Jared Miller. His control deserted him, but then again, Tyler Ferguson looked awesome.
Yeah.
So you're hoping you can,
really good.
Yeah, so you're hoping you can steal 2 of them from Kentucky, maybe a 3rd one. We've got it'll be a great series, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Definitely try to get out there and watch some of it.
Yeah.
At least, right?
One other thing I'm interested in is to see how the shaken up lineup works out. They only scored 2 runs against Belmont. Belmont's not a particularly good team, but maybe they'll play up to their competition when they're playing Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I think, 2-1 is fairly low scoring, especially when they're playing Belmont. But, it's really hard. I think they'll probably maybe still a little bit needed some more time kind of to mentally get over the weekend. And of course, it's always so hard coming off like a loss like that. And you have to turn around really quickly. And I mean, you can only turn around so quickly. But I think, it'll have been a full week by the time they play Kentucky this weekend. And so I'm very optimistic about how this weekend's going to go.
Yeah, so we've had some other sports play recently. I know you're a big tennis fan.
We have. The tennis teams, both men and women, they just had amazing weekends. The women's team upset Georgia this past weekend. Georgia's ranked number 3 and Vandy's at 11. It was really tight. They lost doubles, but they actually were able to come back with singles. They, it all came down really to freshman Sydney Campbell, who won a very close match, and she pulled it out for the Commodores. Also, Frances Altic had an amazing match. She was losing. She was up in the first set, then she lost, and she was able to pull out the first set with win, and then she just kept her momentum going for that second set. And another crucial match that was very impressive was Ashley Antel. She was down and ended up winning, I think, 8 games in a row to win the entire match. So that was also really, really impressive. And this is their first time beating Georgia since 2006, actually, which is pretty long time, but pretty impressive. And now they're actually tied for second in the SEC. Their current SEC record is 7-1. The men's tennis team upset Tennessee, which is at number 15. It was a very impressive match. Again, they also lost the doubles, but they actually didn't lose a singles match.
Yeah.
So it was a great weekend for tennis all around.
Absolutely. Nice to have one team looking good at least.
Exactly.
So one last thing before we finish up. We have a little bit of somewhat breaking news from friend of the program, Jackson Martin. Sources from low places, friends in low places, have found out that Vanderbilt, actually their football team, has a potential home-and-home series that's at least on the table for David Williams with Stanford, which of course is Coach Mason's former school, along with Georgia Tech and Boston College. Now, the last time we played Boston College is when we beat them in the Music City Bowl in 2008. That's another small thing. The players are not going to have their names on the back of their uniforms next year, which I'm not a fan of, but hey, I guess you're playing for the name on the front of your jersey anyways, so there's that. And then the last news, 6 players flipped from Vanderbilt to Penn State, as we know, 6 recruits. 3 of them actually were not allowed into Vanderbilt academically. So it's a little unclear if they weren't allowed in after they said they were going to be going to Penn State, or if the reason they went to Penn State is because they didn't get in academically. But
right, because we'll never really know.
Yeah, but hey, Penn State's more about academics than Vanderbilt, according to Coach Franklin. So maybe they won't get into Penn State either. So who knows? But that'll do it for us here at VU Sports Wired. For Callie Meisel, I'm Ben Weinrib, and we'll see you in the next week or in 2 weeks. We'll see you later.